He's right there. Good evening. The time is 7:31, so I will call this public hearing and regular business meeting of the Mayor and Council for the City of Snellville, Georgia, Monday, June 11th, 2018 to order. Tonight we have an invocation by a very special lady, Greta Coble, who recently... Oh. They're backwards on my sheet. The invocation will be given by Dr. Kevin Lee, Senior Pastor at Berean Christian Church. He will be accompanied by Minister Charles Davis, or maybe not.
I was wondering if I was okay. All right, I'm the right person. Okay, thank you. Let's all bow. Father, we do thank you for just how good you are, how great you are. And we thank you, God, as the council comes together with the city to discuss business. Have your way. Oh, God, you said that the plans of the mind belong to man, but the answer of the tongue comes from God. So have your way. Thank you for the church that can also be a covering over our city. Now, thank you for what we're going to discuss. Have your way in this meeting. It's in your son's name we pray. Amen.
Thank you, Dr. Lee. Okay, next we're going to have the Pledge to the Flag by Greta Coble, who recently retired after 47 years as the school crossing guard for South Gwinnett High and Britt Elementary Schools. She also worked for 47 years as a food assistant in the Britt Elementary cafeteria.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, under ceremonial matters, our first item is a presentation of award to the 2018 Entrepreneur of the Year. For the past 7 years, the City of Snellville has partnered with our 3 local high schools in support of a unique entrepreneurship program that culminates in a funded Shark Tank. This year, $4,000 was awarded to 8 student startup businesses. 22 student businesses were pitched to 2 juries of local business owners over 2 days. At the start of the school year, young entrepreneurs are challenged to create their own summer jobs. Each year, the jury selects an Entrepreneur of the Year. This year's prize is $250 to the Entrepreneur of the Year. Also, both winners named this evening are offered the opportunity of professional mentoring and a 2-month membership to Garage Works. This year, the City of Snellville Mayor and Council members are proud to announce Maya Swaby Contraband Clothing as the 2018 Entrepreneur of the Year. Maya and Contraband Clothing produce augmented reality clothing. The Mayor and Council members are proud also to introduce Matthew Richards, Matt's Home Organizers, as the Entrepreneur of the Year runner-up. Matt will come clean and organize any portion of your house. Could use a little of that right now. And Mr. Josh Sweeney, the founder of Garage Works, would like to make a few comments. Josh?
Thank you for having me. I really appreciate everything that the City of Snellville has done for Garage Works and the ability to build an amazing co-working space and a space for entrepreneurs in the city. And I want to welcome the 2 winners of the Entrepreneur of the Year awards to our space so that we can help them grow as entrepreneurs. Thank you.
And now, Eric, are you going to come forward? Next, we'll have Mr. Jim Kofer will be presenting the city.
I'm sorry, I missed Matthew in the audience. Can we go back just for a minute? Yes. Come on, we got one more picture.
Okay. I feel like we're so discombobulated tonight. We have a presentation by Mr. Jim Kofer from the Snellville Historical Society. He's going to be presenting the city with a copy of his book, 200 Years of Snellville History.
Madam Mayor Pro Tem, City Council members, and ladies and gentlemen, on April 24th of 1996, 13 civic-minded citizens of Snellville came together and formed the Snellville Historical Society. And they chose as a mission statement to research, document, and publicize the history of Snellville, Georgia, and the Snellville community. They set about gathering hundreds, and Emmett will tell you probably thousands, of old photos, interviewing old-timers to get their stories, collecting newspaper articles back to the 1880s, publishing newsletters and presenting programs, and finally the publication of 2 history books, including the one that Barbara just mentioned, entitled 200 Years of Snellville History. Through all of these years, the city of Snellville has supported us by providing ample free office space, display space in the lobby when we have artifacts, large meeting rooms, access to the city's historical documents, and that includes the minutes. I can tell you I've read every set of council minutes since 1947, and that's really good for insomnia if you go back to the 40s and 50s.
Bless you.
Not speaking the present day, of course. They've helped with assistance with erecting monuments, providing publicity for our meetings, and finally the encouragement to try new programs and new projects. So, Barbara, if you would come forward while I read this. The Snellville Historical Society expresses its heartfelt thanks to the elected officials and staff of the city of Snellville for their continued support to our mission to research, document, and publicize the history of Snellville. So, Mayor Pro Tem Barbara Bender, please accept this signed first edition of our latest book, 200 Years of Snellville History, as a token of our gratitude.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. And if y'all don't have your copy yet, they're on sale Mondays and Fridays?
Mondays and Fridays, 10 to 12.
10 to 12, yes.
Oh, there are mail order applications back there that'll cost you $7.
Thank you, Mr. Kofer. It really is. It really is a great work. It's got all kinds of information in there. It's really fun to read. I did purchase my own personal copy. Mr. Kofer said, "But you'll be getting a copy with the city." I said, "Yeah, but I want my own." Next, we have Proclamation 2018-27 honoring Greta Coble, and that'll be read by Councilmember Gretchen Schultz.
Would you join me, Greta? I just have to put my arm around you. This is a proclamation recognizing
Coble. Whereas teaching and learning in our schools would not be possible without dedicated support personnel, and whereas Greta Coble recently retired after 47 years as a school crossing guard for the South Gwinnett schools and 47 years as a school food assistant in the Britt Elementary School cafeteria. Whereas in her position as a crossing guard, Ms. Coble has assisted hundreds of Snellville children and teachers each day as they cross Skyland Drive, helping these students and teachers begin and end their school day safely and with a wonderful Miss Greta smile. And whereas she has served 3 and 4 generations of students, and whereas after completing her morning crossing guard duties, Ms. Coble then began her day in the Britt cafeteria, where she performed many duties, including portioning fruit, taking care of the cafeteria laundry, lining the kitchen garbage cans with plastic bags, taking the trash to the dumpster throughout the serving period, and working at the dish room window. And whereas in 1997, Ms. Coble was awarded the very prestigious Heart of the Program Award by the Georgia School Nutrition Association, an annual award given to just one school nutrition employee throughout the state. And whereas Ms. Coble is leaving her crossing guard and school nutrition food assistant positions to find out what retired folks do, and will be greatly missed by students, staff, parents, as well as Snellville motorists. Now therefore be it proclaimed that the Mayor Pro Tem and City Council of the City of Snellville wish to show their heartfelt appreciation to Greta Coble, who has served and protected Snellville's most valuable resource, our children, and has made Snellville a city where everybody is proud to be somebody. Proclaimed this 11th day of June, 2018.
They are my customers.
That's I just wanted to take a moment to mention, I've known Greta quite a long time because I worked in the school nutrition program for Gwinnett County Schools from 1995 to 2003. I worked in the central office, and one of my roles was to work with Britt Elementary, and so I knew Greta very well. And you heard me mention that she won the Heart of the Program Award for the Georgia School Nutrition Association. And I'm so proud of the fact that I wrote that nomination for her. And one thing that I know was the reason she won that award was that she told me that she always tried to do the jobs in the cafeteria that nobody else really liked to do. For example, she took the trash out to the dumpsters every day. And the dumpster.
I was like 77 years old.
And then one thing I remember, although I don't think she's been doing it so much recently, but she did the freezer inventory because nobody else wanted to do that. And but another thing I recall is that she always worked at the dish room window. Back in those days, when I was there, we had the plastic trays. Now they use styrofoam trays. But she told me one of the reasons she wanted to work at the dish room window was that she wanted to be sure every student left the cafeteria with a smile on their face. And there were many students that came up to that window and I would watch them, would ask her for a hug, and she would come running out from behind the dish room window. She'd come out in the cafeteria and give them a hug before they went back to their classrooms. So she's a very special lady. One other thing I forgot to mention. This Saturday, June 16th, is going to be Greta Coble Day at the Snellville Farmers Market. And she is going to stand at the market entrance so that her many longtime customers, as she likes to call them, can greet her and express their thanks.
Thank you, Gretchen. Next, we'll approve the minutes of the May 14th and the May 29th, 2018 special called meeting.
Motion to approve the minutes of the May 14th, 2018 meetings and the May 29th, 2018 specially called meeting.
There's a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
There's a motion and a second. All in favor, please signify by raising your right hand. That's 5 in favor, none opposed. We have no invited guests. Under committee and department reports, we have a report by Mr. Kingsbury with the Planning Commission.
Good evening. The Planning Commission had before it, as you all have already had its first reading, on CUP 1802, a conditional use permit for the property at the corner of Henry Clower and 124 South. It's the former Sims gas station. It's about a half acre. It is currently Zone BG. The proposal is to reopen it as a gas station and a convenience store. It was brought before the city because it has been a number of years since it's been in use and does not comply with the current regulations as set forth in the overlay district. The applicant requested that certain regulations be waived and/or variance from those regulations. A public hearing was held. The only person to speak was the applicant. There was no opposition. The Planning Commission agreed with the staff recommendation and added a condition that the facade of the building be approved by the planning director before any construction takes place. I have one other item. We are losing a Planning Commission member. Maxine Finch is moving, and we will need somebody to replace her. We are hoping for a young person, so we will all keep our eyes open. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Kingsbury. Next, we'll have the approval of the agenda as presented. Is there a motion?
Motion.
Go.
Motion to approve the agenda June 11th, 2018.
There's a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
There's a motion and a second to approve the agenda. All in favor, please signify by raising your right hand. It's 5 in favor, none opposed. Next, we'll move under our public hearing. We'll have a presentation of the 2040 Comprehensive Plan to satisfy the Department of Community Affairs requirements. And this is Mr. Jim Summerbell. He is in charge of our comprehensive plan.
All right, thank you, Mayor and Council. Well, good evening. It's my pleasure tonight to announce to the public that we are beginning the planning process for the 2040 update of the comprehensive plan. Like you stated, this is a requirement of the DCA. Our primary purpose tonight is to announce to the public that the project's underway and to let them know how they can get involved. Tonight I'm going to just give you a very brief overview of what a comprehensive plan is, the project goals, and of course how the public can be involved, and most importantly how you can contact us if you have any ideas of how to improve things or to go forward into the future. Basically, a comprehensive plan is a vision-driven plan for the future. It looks 20 years out into the future. It really primarily has 3 major components: the community vision itself, which includes not just a vision statement, but a geographic map that shows the future land use pattern that the city would like to develop over the next 20 years. A list of priority needs and opportunities the community needs to address to achieve that vision. And then finally, a city strategy or community work program that will look into 5 years of actual action steps that the city should take to achieve that vision in the future, as well as just overall policies that need to be taken into consideration. The comprehensive plan, by its very name, is comprehensive. We're looking at everything from land use, transportation, housing, economic development, and of course, most importantly, quality of life. It is a requirement for the city to maintain its qualified local government status. You have to have that status in order to be eligible to receive state funding. So it's very important that we satisfy these needs and do so by the deadline, which is February 2019. It also, as your city attorney could tell you, it's used in legal defense of zoning decisions, so it's very important that the plan lines up with your code, and of course it's very fortuitous that you're now underway doing a UDO for the city, so we can make sure that the 2 documents are indeed aligned. And we're going to do our best to try to incorporate existing city plans, such things as the town center plan, of course, the LCI. So we're going to be looking at updating the LCI as part of this effort as we go forward. The overall project goals, of course, to make sure that we have an accurate statement of the community's vision for the future, maintain, of course, your state funding, coordinate all the planning efforts that are going on, most importantly, the UDO, and of course, to come up with a 5-year work program as we go forward. I can say the state, if you're looking for any kind of funding from the state, they're going to look to see that those programs or those projects are in your plan. So it's very important that we try to reflect that as the best we can as we go forward. So how can the public get involved? We just recently launched a project website, snellville2040.org. I invite everyone to go online and look at that. We also have currently an online survey that we're asking the public to look at and take part in. We're also going to be doing several what we call pop-up engagements. A couple of weeks ago, we were at the Public Safety Night. We had a tent out there, and we had a pretty good turnout. People came by, and we asked their opinions about the priority needs and opportunities affecting the city. Coming up, we'll be doing what we call a shopping bonanza. We'll be going out to some of your shopping centers and stopping people as they go up and down Scenic Highway and ask their opinions about stuff. And we also will be later at the Farmers Market. We'll have a booth there as well. We'll have an open house in the fall, and of course we'll have an adoption public hearing probably around January, December, in that range. But indeed, we invite the public, by all means, go to the website, and we will keep it updated with all the kind of draft materials and how they can be involved. Here's the overall project schedule. As you see right now, this is the public hearing you see up there right now. The survey, like I said, is online. Over the summer, indeed, we'll be very busy working with your community task force. We got a very active committee that's already met twice, so we got 2 more regular scheduled meetings, and then we'll try to work with them, online through the involvement process. And then, like I say, the open house is November, and then the final public hearing in January to come up. This is how you can contact us. Of course, you can always reach staff at the city. Go to Jason Thompson. He can tell you what's going on, or you can reach me over at the Jacobs office, or Megan McMullen. She's the one who designed our project website, and she's the one who you can certainly post any materials or let you know if you handle any issues you may have getting on the website. But with that, I'll open up for any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Somerville. Does Mayor and Council have any questions of Mr. Somerville? Okay, this is a public hearing item, so I will open up the floor to public comment. If anyone would like to come up and speak about the 2040 Comprehensive Plan, feel free. Come on up. If you'll just come up to the microphone and give your name and address for the record.
Marlene Ratledge Buchanan, 1931 Old Loganville Road, Loganville, 30052. I'm with the Snellville Historical Society, and we would just like to ask the people that are working on all the planning and development, when the library plans are developed, to please set aside a place for Snellville history and perhaps a display area. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Buchanan. Does anyone else like to come up and give some input? Okay, seeing none, we will close this part of the public hearing. Thank you, Mr. Somerville, for being here. The next item under our public hearing is the second reading for CUP 18-02, consideration and action on application by Tony Dawson and Maine McGee Investment LLC for a conditional use permit for a fuel station with convenience store and request for variances from the Snellville Code of Ordinances for the 0.5 acre property zoned BG district and located at 2305 Scenic Highway Southwest, Snellville, Georgia. Mr. Thompson.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Council, and the public for being here tonight. As Mr. Kingsbury mentioned earlier, the case before you now is CUP 18-02. It's located at the intersection of Henry Clower and Lenora Church and was formerly a Sims gas station. They've come here to request a conditional use permit due to the fact that when it was originally built, the ordinances were not in place for that, and it's been out of commerce for more than 18 months. So the ordinance requires full compliance with the current code. Just a little background on the property. It's a .54 acre tract. It was originally built in 1986 and was closed and has been vacant since October of 2011. Just another complication of kind of the site and what the owners are dealing with. If you can see the crosshatched area, that's an adjacent piece that the DOT, the Georgia DOT, is taking for the diverging left turn intersection improvement. So part of the improvements will be made there, and they lost a little bit more of their property. So what we see a lot of times in these older developments that are basically built before the ordinances were in place is that most of the time on a small site, in order for them to be able to comply fully, they would need to demo the building and basically start over. And in a lot of cases, that's not the best use for the property. Basically what has been sitting here for 8 years. People have been able to buy and purchase, but because it's small and it's adjacent to a large shopping center, you know, it's a lot harder to do anything there if you have to redevelop the whole property. So they've come before us with several variances. Most are related to the corridor overlay, which require certain transportation improvements, and I'll just kind of go through those quickly so everybody knows what they're voting on. And then basically the CUP to be able to open the gas station, and also their overall plans for the property. So the first variance they requested was to be allowed to not require interparcel access. It seems reasonable given there's really no room, and the only adjacent parcel is the shopping center, and it's the back of it at that. So without giving up, you know, over 25% of their property, it won't be of any benefit. We did require the applicant to require interparcel access should the adjacent property redevelop in the future. You can also see on here kind of where the fuel tanks are located. Part of our conditional use permit requires those to be at least 30 feet away from the right-of-way. They look like they're right on the edge of the DOT right-of-way, and those are already in place, so they don't have the opportunity to move them. They've also asked to be able to postpone the installation of some shrubs in the right-of-way till after the DOT work is done. We agreed with that. They've also asked to allow the one overhead utility line to remain in the air and not necessarily underground. I believe the cost to just relocate that underground is close to $25,000. We recommended approval for that, but most of these variances that we recommended approval for only are allowed until the property redevelops, and that would be one of them too. They asked for a variance to not be required to install the special street lights. There is overhead power on the site that would limit those installations, so we agreed with that. They asked for a variance to utilize 4 feet sidewalks instead of 6 foot sidewalks. We decided on, I believe it's a 5 foot sidewalk, which is currently what the DNT is going to reinstall there, so just match it up. They asked for a variance to be allowed to not install the pedestrian lights. We recommended denial for that and asked that they meet those corridor overlay requirements, as there's no restriction from that. There's another ordinance section that makes sure that they have pitched roofs if they're under 5,000 square feet. Once again, this building was constructed with parapets. In 1986, they couldn't comply with that. They asked to be removed from requiring bicycle racks, benches, and trash receptacles. We asked that they install one of those, so we denied that. Then they asked for a general site variance in case we missed something small, and a few other landscaping variances as far as building parking lot islands in an already small site. They've actually put all of the trees that are required in the rear landscape strip, really the only place that they have to plant. And we were kind of concerned with what they were going to do with the exterior of the building, so we asked the applicant for some, basically what they plan to do. And this is just one picture of an old convenience store that they took over, and when they were done, it looked a lot better. They used a combination of brick and stone, and they added, a new fresh canopy, and the property owner agreed to do some combination of those materials, brick, stone, or stucco, to the exterior elevations and repair the canopy as well. So given the circumstances, we feel like some business use is better than no business use, especially on that property, which is confined to a small space, and we recommend approval with the conditions as related to in the ordinance, which includes the Planning Commission's recommendation for some kind of building elevation approval from the Planning Department. Any questions?
Mr. Thompson, just a point of clarification. You said it's at the corner of Henry Clower and Lenora Church. Is it not, in fact, at Henry Clower and Highway 124?
It is.
Okay, just to be clear on where it's located.
I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Mr. Thompson, on the 5-foot sidewalk that was agreed to, is it, I just want to make sure, I didn't see that in the variances that's in the ordinance. And I think the corridor overlay normally requires 6-foot sidewalks. The DOT is planning on doing 5-foot, and so my understanding is the agreement's going to be to go with the 5-foot. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Should we have that in the ordinance as well? That we're agreeing to? Oh, it's in there.
It should be listed under one of the variances.
It's there.
Okay.
Melissa's just pointed that out for me.
Okay.
Okay, very good, thank you. Does any other council members have any questions for Mr. Thompson?
I have one. Because the property has been vacant for 8 years, is there any concern that we need to have over environmental cleanups from previous?
Oh, they'll have to pass all the Department of Agriculture's testing on their tanks and everything, and they won't get a CO until that's happened. I believe that's also reflected in the conditions of the ordinance.
Okay, any other council members have any questions or comments? All right, is the applicant here tonight? No?
They were supposed to send somebody. I know they had somebody at Planning Commission, so.
Okay. So the applicant is not here to speak to the project, but it is a public hearing item. So I will open up the floor to public comment. If anyone would like to come and talk about this, state your opinion on this conditional use permit, please step forward and give your name and address for the record. It's a quiet room. No one tonight? With that, I'll close the public hearing. And is there a motion?
It's Gretchen's turn. Okay.
Motion to approve CUP 1802 for the conditional use permit for a fuel station with convenience store, and in accordance with the variances read by Mr. Thompson at 2305 Scenic Highway, Snellville.
There's a motion to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Any discussion, further discussion by council? See none, I will call for the vote. All in favor, please signify by raising your hand, right hand. 5 in favor, none opposed. The CUP is approved. Okay, we have nothing on our consent agenda, no old business. Under new business, we have our second reading for ordinance 2018-06, adoption of the fiscal year 2018-2019 budget for each fund of the city of Snellville, Georgia, appropriating the amount shown in each budget as expenditures expenses, adopting the several items of revenue anticipations, and prohibiting expenditures or expenses from exceeding the actual funding available. Mr. Sanders?
Madam Pro Tem, you have in front of you a balanced budget proposal from myself and the staff in the amount of $13,426,874. The budget would start, we're asking your approval of this budget, which would go into place July 1 of this year through June 30 of 2019. The net spending is up by about 4.6%. Several reasons for that. What I call some non-discretionary reasons. We have some facilities which are aging. There's about $45,000 more in this year's budget for that. There was a sanitation increase right at $46,000. It was negotiated down. Planning and development, you saw Mr. Somerville here tonight. We have not only the comp plan going on, but we're finishing our unified development ordinance, as well as the good news is construction's picking up, and we're paying a lot for a private contractor to inspect all that development, and that's all in planning development. A lot of good news in the budget. Capital needs are being met in street resurfacing and stormwater projects, almost $700,000 in each of those categories. And I think very good news for our employees. If you remember, 2 years ago, we sat down and did a very thorough salary survey, and we came up with a 3-year plan in our police department for making us much more competitive. This is the 3rd year of that 3-year plan. We've been able to fund it every year, and it is funded in this budget. So I think that's very good news for public safety, as well as we also saw a need to work on our labor and maintenance crew workers. Really, our lowest paid employees we weren't paying a competitive wage. We set goals for that category of employee, and we've met those in this budget. So I feel like we're doing a good job, doing a better job taking care of our employees. A lot of positive local economic growth is exhibited in our revenue stream, and I can tell you that the budget does not anticipate a millage increase, just a continuation of the current millage. That will take place. The millage will be set obviously after the budget is adopted, but with the preliminary numbers we have, we feel like we'll be able to follow through with that projection of keeping the same millage. So I present this budget for your approval.
Thank you, Mr. Sanders. Are there any council members that have any questions or comments on the budget? No? Then this is not a public hearing item, but I will open up the floor if anyone has any comments or questions on the budget. Seeing none, is there a motion?
Motion to adopt the budget for the fiscal year of 2018-2019 for the city of Snellville with reference to ordinance 2018-06.
There's a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
There's a motion and a second. All in favor, please signify by raising your right hand. That is 5 in favor and none opposed. The budget is passed. Item B, we have our first reading for ordinance 2018-08, an ordinance to amend portions of Chapter 46, Solid Waste, of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Snellville to repeal conflicting ordinances and for other purposes.
Motion to waive the first reading, ordinance 2018-08, and put it on the agenda of the July 9th meeting.
There's a motion to waive the first reading. Is there a second?
Second.
There's a motion and a second. All in favor, please signify by raising your right hand. That is 5 in favor, none opposed. The next item, we have consideration and action on approval of senior center usage policy. Gretchen, did you want to say anything? Your name's by here.
We've had some meetings with the senior center staff, as well as I participated in those meetings. And we wanted to come up with, I believe Ms. Linsky participated too, didn't you? Yes. Yes. We wanted to come up with a policy that would allow more usage of the senior center, both evenings and weekends. We feel like during the day it's very well utilized for our senior programs, but that there are times in the evenings and on weekends where we could open it up for other types of meetings or other groups that might like to meet there. So a policy has been developed for its usage.
Very good. Is there a motion?
Motion to approve the senior center usage policy.
There's a motion to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
There's a motion and a second. All in favor, please signify by raising your right hand. That is 5 in favor and none opposed. Okay, next we have consideration and action on approval of Resolution 2018-5, authorization for the exercise of eminent domain. Mr. Powell, do you want to say anything?
This is a requirement of state law that we, in initiating a condemnation action, that is the taking of property, I think in this case for a town center location, that the mayor and council actually authorize that activity to take place. This resolution is fairly simple in that it gives the law firm the ability to begin the process of notifying the property owners and evaluating it as required by state law.
Thank you. Is there a motion for Resolution 2018-05?
Motion to approve Resolution 2018-05, authorizing the city attorney of the city of Snellville to use the power of eminent domain.
There's a motion to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
There's a motion and a second. All in favor, please signify by raising your right hand. That is 4 in favor. Any opposed? And 1 opposed. Okay, next we have nomination and council confirmation on reappointments to several boards. The first being the Downtown Development Authority board members. For post 1, Matt Zarek, his term to expire June 30th, 2022. And for post 2, Nelson Williams, his term to expire June 30th, 2022. Those are the nominations. All those in favor of confirming these 2 members, please signify by raising your right hand. That is 5 in favor and none opposed. Next, we have the nomination and council confirmation on reappointment of the following to the Development Authority of Snellville board members. For post 2, Nelson Williams, with a term expiration of June 30th, 2022. So that's the nomination. All in favor of the confirmation, please signify by raising your right hand. That is 5 in favor, none opposed. Next, we have a nomination and council confirmation on appointment of Deborah Jones to post 1 of the Development Authority of the Snellville Board with a term expiration of June 30th, 2022. All in favor, please signify by raising your right hand. That is 5 in favor and none opposed. Next, we have the nomination and council confirmation on appointment of Deborah Jones to post 5 of the Urban Redevelopment Authority with a term expiration of June 30th, 2021. Is that right? All those in favor, please signify by raising your right hand. That is 5 in favor and none opposed. Next, we have the nomination and council confirmation on reappointment of the following Planning Commission board members. To post 2, Johan Beringer, term expiration June 30th, 2020. Post 3, Tony Parker. And post 4, Todd Warner, both with the expiration of June 30th, 2020. Those are the nominations. All in favor, please signify by raising your right hand. It is 5 in favor, none opposed. Next, we have nomination and confirmation on reappointment of the Board of Appeals members. To post 1, Billy Franklin, post 2, Matt Zarek, and post 4, Tim Van Valkenburg, all with terms to expire June 30th of 2020. All in favor, please signify by raising your right hand. It's 5 in favor, none opposed. This is a lot to go through. Next, we have nomination and council confirmation on reappointment of the following Park and Rec Advisory Board member. To post 2, Brittany Marmol, for her term to expire June 30th of 2020. All in favor, please signify by raising your right hand. That is 5 in favor and none opposed. Next, we have the nomination and confirmation of Regina Hart to post 3 of the Parks and Rec Advisory Board with the term expiration of June 30th, 2020. All in favor, please signify by raising your right hand. It's 5 in favor and none opposed. Congratulations to all of those who have been approved and reappointed to boards. We appreciate all of your service and your time. The city cannot operate without our volunteers and the support of these boards and commissions, and we really appreciate all of your time and efforts. And that closes our business portion of the meeting. So we will move on to council reports. Mr. Marmol.
Who's familiar with eminent domain? Just raise your hand if you know about it. So, a couple of people. All right, so eminent domain, basically government taking private property for public use. It's basically what it is. Deals with the Fifth Amendment. I voted no mainly because government, I believe, should not have the right or authority to take anyone's private property to use for whatever the use, whether it's a sidewalk or whether it's special interest development or whatever the use. I believe the property owner is the one that should have ultimate rights on that. Life and one's property, to me, are the two most sacred things that a person has in our form of government. That's why I voted no, and it really saddens me that it actually passed, because even though we aren't going to necessarily use it, this is just authorization to possibly use it, basically. It says something about our form of government, and I don't agree with that. So if you have any questions about it at all, you can talk to me afterwards.
Thank you, Mr. Marmol. Councilmember Linsky.
Snellville Youth Commission had our final meeting of the school year. It really just kind of goes with the school year rather than the calendar year. And the saddest part about that is we had to say goodbye to 13 of our graduating seniors in the class of 2018, but we are also bringing in 10 new members for next year. So when we met this past Saturday, it was a chance for the old members and the new members to sit down and really get to know each other, of course, as well as the current members. And we did something that I think young people do not do enough. They played games, board games, and just interacted and had some great moments, I think, in really understanding how collaborative the relationship needs to be to move forward with the actual goals that we want to accomplish for Snellville Youth Commission. Also had the opportunity to attend a City of Duluth event on Saturday with Kelly McAloon. We were really impressed with the Who's Bad tribute band. It was a Michael Jackson tribute band, and we're hoping that you will see some of the video that Kelly took on YouTube and also some of the Facebook websites and social media, and consider bringing them here to Snellville. Hopefully Snellville Tourism and Trade will be able to do that.
Councilmember Emanuel.
I just want to talk about Miss Cobble. I've never met her, but for years when I drove up Skyland, I would see her run out and stop the cars. And 47 years is a heck of a lot of dedication. But what that doesn't tell you is rain or shine or snow. She was always out there, and I always saw her with a smile on her face. I just want to thank her for her service.
Councilmember Schultz.
to follow up on that, just another reminder that June 16th at the Farmers Market will be Greta Coble Day, and I will put that on our Farmers Market Facebook page and some other Facebook pages so that folks will know to come out and greet Greta and thank her for her many, many years of service. I have some other Farmers Market news. As you know, I always have Farmers Market and Community Garden things to say. I really wanted to say a special thank you to some folks that came out to help us volunteer this past Saturday. We were short of our regular volunteers, which happens because people take vacations, people have other plans, and that's fine. But we were short, and we had some folks come out to help us. Bobby Lee Culver Jr., he is in the Navy, and he had just flown in from Okinawa, where he's stationed. He literally had just had a couple hours of sleep, and he got up and came and stayed for the whole market and helped us, and he was just a tremendous help. And so we were so grateful to him because he's young and strong. Also, Joe Wilson came out, and also he said that, I didn't, Joe. And also Glennis Bentley. And in addition to our regular volunteers of Marcy Ferris, Ann McGill, Ronnie Bentley, Kurt Schultz, Mike Stock, and a brand new volunteer, Maggie Van Buren. I also wanted to note that we took approximately 100 pounds of squash and cucumbers to the Southeast Gwinnett Co-op this morning that our farmers market vendors donated, some of their unsold produce. And along with that, we had a bag of yellow zucchini and cucumbers from the community garden. So I was proud to take that on our behalf today and donate that to the co-op. The other news from the community garden is that all of our 50 beds are now being used, so that's good news.
Thank you, Councilmember Schultz. Just got a couple of things. Since we last met, we had our Memorial Day event and concert with Departure Band. The Wednesday before was the week we had all of the rain, and the forecast looked pretty dire for Saturday. So we were Wednesday and Thursday flying around emails whether to cancel it or not, and ended up trudging forward, and we ended up with a beautiful night. It was a great night to be out. The Memorial Day event went very well, and the concert, of course, was great. We had a large turnout for that. So kudos to everyone involved in that. There were a lot of people that came out and made that Memorial Day remembrance extra special, and we appreciate all of them. We also had Public Safety Night this past week. We had lots of big boy toys out on the green and out on Oak Road. Kids enjoyed, I think, their time getting to climb in and out of the police cars. Not in trouble this time, but also got to go into the Lawrenceville Command Center, and the fire trucks were out here as well. So a really great night, a great opportunity for families to come out and let their kids meet police officers and firemen and see what it is that they do. We also had the torch run. The torch came to City Hall. This is the bicentennial torch that's going around Gwinnett County. Gwinnett County is celebrating their 200-year anniversary this year in December. And so this whole year has been a series of events. There's a website, Gwinnett 200, that you can go out and look at pictures of the past events and see what other things are coming up. But the torch came in here, and then it stayed a week, and then it was run out. There's cross-country teams from all the Gwinnett County schools that are running the torch from one city to the next. And so it headed out of here and went to Loganville. So it's there on display in Loganville for the week. And I'm not quite sure where it's going after that. Do you know, Brian? Grayson. It's going to Grayson next. So that was a really great event. It was fun. We had a good many people that came out to watch the torch come into City Hall. So it was a fun day for doing that. And that is all for my report. And if we will open up the floor to public comment. If anyone would like to come up and say anything, come on up and give your name and address for the record. Seeing none. Oh, I did have one other comment, if I could. If you all would remember Jeff Timler in your prayers and his family. As the city manager here, actually he had worked here all through high school, worked up through quite a few departments and was city manager here for quite a few years. He tragically lost his wife last week. And so if you would keep him and his family, his 2 girls, in your prayers, I would appreciate it. Okay. With that, we will take a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn. Is there a second?
Second.
There's a motion and a second. All in favor, raise your right hand. 5 in favor, none opposed. Thank you all for coming out.